Good morning, everyone. This is Cassie Stumo. I'm the marketing specialist here at EAC. We will start today off with an introduction of EAC, and then Anthony Garner from PTC will be presenting to us on Windchill BoM Structure and reporting. Then afterwards, our technical account manager, Bill Schlund, will be demoing our EAC app called BoM Reports. Everyone gets a recording of the session pending any technical difficulties. Please feel free to ask questions along the way and we will answer them after the presentation. At EAC, our mission is to transform the way companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. Not only are we a value-added reseller for PTC, but we are the #1 solutions provider for PTC in the country, with experts in 22 areas of product development. We're located all over the US and our headquarters is in Minneapolis. We offer our customers everything they need for product development, such as Creo CAD software for product design, service lifecycle management software for managing service documentation, and software that helps you manage your product data, such as Windchill, ThingWorx, Navigate, and our customizable EAC productivity apps, one of which you'll be seeing today. We implement the Internet of Things and augmented reality into business strategies to jumpstart initiatives around digital transformation and connecting all things in your company. We assist with design and engineering projects like FEA, simulation, reverse engineering, and proof of concepts for our customers. We also offer webinars and PTC certified training courses for continuous learning. We are also a commercial reseller for Formlabs, offering their latest products in additive manufacturing. The Form 3 is now available with packages starting at $34.99. So please keep us in mind. We have solutions to help your organization save time and money throughout the product development process. Thank you for taking that time to listen to who we are, and I will hand it over to Anthony so he can get started.
Thank you, Cassie. So what I'm going to be talking about for our demonstration here today is the BoM structure and reporting tool that exists basically within our Windchill system itself. So from here, I'm going to go directly into our Windchill system itself so we can get a good look at all the things that I'm ultimately going to be talking about. So let me just switch over to our tool. And for all those who don't know, this is our general Windchill splash screen. This is where you're going to come to whenever you boot up your Windchill through your browser via either a cloud instance or on-prem, however you see to be doing that. So currently I'm looking at my tasks and updates, and these are just the things that I need to get my day started. But for the BoM structure reporting, the thing that we're going to be making, or the thing we're going to be diving deeper into simply is the structure tab on the Synergy car data set that we're going to be looking at for. So we're just going to move ahead along with that. Okay, so I'm just going to navigate to the browse window within our Windchill system here, and this is kind of the half of how we're going to navigate toward any information within our Windchill system. The other half is ultimately searching for that information directly as we need to. So under here, I have all the information within our Windchill system organized via the product context. The product information that we're going to be looking at for today is this Synergy car information set that we have here. So from here, I'm going to navigate directly to the structure, which is going to be the entire bill of information for our object within our Windchill system. And as we can see from our bill of information to our left, I can highlight that it's going to show a visualization to our right. That visualization is a lightweight CAD agnostic visualization. It doesn't matter what authoring tool I made to generate that. Within our Windchill system, I have access to that visualization. So first thing I'll show here is the ability we have to search within our bill of material hierarchy here to go towards any part that we have within our system. So first, I'm going to search for a board, which is simply a Beagle board, an electrical component we have within our object right here from our Windchill system. And it's going to navigate directly to that, no matter how deeply it's buried into our hierarchy. and I can expand that out, and I can take a closer look at all the information that's ultimately rolling up to that part within our system. So here we can see I have every part listed under our assembly, under that child assembly, along with the version and the state number, along with some approved manufacturer and approved vendor list being brought in by our SUMA add-on for our system right here. Okay. And from there, I'll just show you some of the cross-highlighting abilities that we have within Windchill. So anything I select within my BoM, my bill of information to my left is going to highlight in my visualization to the right. So if I were to select this Pro Cup Series chair, this engine, it's going to show that visualization where specifically that's at within our assembly to our right. And the same works vice versa. If I were to select this tire within our system, no matter how deeply it's buried into our hierarchical structure, I can navigate, I can see where that is within my bill of materials. So if I need to know exactly what something's named within my visualization, I can simply select in my visualization, and it's going to bring up its proper name within my bill of information. Or if I need to know exactly where spatially in my assembly a particular component is, I can select that within my bill of information, and that's going to select that object within our visualization. And going along with that, if any of the objects within my visualization are blocking my view of certain things, I can deselect down so that I don't need to be looking at those things that I don't really need to be able to be looking at. So if I needed to take a closer look at the chassis or the suspension or the body, I can simply deselect this outer body for our car here, and it's going to get us down to the suspension, the tire, and the engine for all of that stuff. And I can deselect all the way down to our front wheel assembly if I really needed to. So from here, I have that visualization of my front wheel assembly that I've deselected all the way down to. And if I come to my window here, this is geometrically accurate. So with our system here, I have the ability to create callouts towards the actual geometry of the CAD that we're using to generate this visualization. This feature in of itself is no longer embedded directly into the visualizations within Windchill, but is something you will have the ability to do via CreaView Lite by downloading it into the CreaView Lite, which you get free with every seat of Windchill. And I'll be showing you a little bit more of that, a little bit more in detail later. But essentially, the CAD information that I'm basically generating callouts with, I have the ability to do via CreaView Lite, which I'll be showing you a little bit later. Okay, so now I'm going to go directly into the anti-lock braking system for this wheel assembly that we have here. And to do that, all I need to do is simply select into the assembly that we're going to be working for, go directly to the part that I want to be working with, and I'm going to expand by all of our levels. And now I'm looking mainly at the braking system within our tire from here, but also what I'm want to do is this show what actually a WT part is I'm going to expand all the information that exists rolling under that part within our system. Because ultimately what the WT part is, it's our item master, but it's also a folder, if you will, or a bucket for which we relate all the product information that's going to go towards holistically defining this object within our Windchill system. So currently I'm just looking at our WT part, which is that gray gear that we see that's essentially denoting our WT part. But if I select all from here and I go up to our show dropdown, this is where I can see not just the WT part, but I can see all the information that's ultimately relating to this. So not just the item master WT part, but I also see any documentation that I've related to it, any of the CAD assemblies or CAD drawings, along with any plant information being brought in from the SUMA tool that we were talking a little bit before. And ultimately, the power of this is that you can create your assemblies within your bill of material, either from a top-down or a bottom-up standpoint. So coming from a top-down, I can take this entire assembly, if I have it within my SolidWorks system, and upload that into my Windchill system and generate a WT part for every single object within there. Conversely, if I want to go from a bottom-up, I can create the WT parts initially, and as I generate those documents, as I generate that CAD data, as I generate those drawings, I can attach those to my WT part within my system. So either bottom up or top down, however it's best works for your general use case. Okay. So up here, just showing a little bit more of the BoM ability that we have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy different file types to our clipboard, and from there I'm going to open them up into our Creo View Lite. So I'm going to select our WT part, a drawing file, a document, and a electrical component readout for our object right here. So here I'm going to copy those directly to our clipboard. Now, as we can see, they're all to our clipboard, and I can go directly to that clipboard via our quick link. That's very easy. And from our clipboard, if I really wanted to, I can take all 4 of these objects and push them into a separate view. But what we're going to be doing now is I'm going to be opening these all up into Creo View. And Creo View Lite is our lightweight representation and annotation tool. So those visualizations that we're talking to you a little bit about before, I have the ability to bring all those down along with the drawing file, the PDF, and the ECB all together in my Creo View Lite from here. So I don't need to be working through various tools in order to actually be working through this. My Creo View Lite is kind of the place I can come back to in order to be working with these the best of my ability. So here I have my visualization for my tire assembly, my engineering drawing, my PDF, and that PCB EDA file that we all downloaded from our clipboard. And all of them are together right here in my Creo View Lite window. Okay. And just to show you another tool that we have within our Creo View Lite here is we have the ability to conduct a color-coded search. So the relationship between Creo View Lite and Windchill is ultimately bidirectional. And what that allows me to do is I can gather information from my Windchill system and use that to drive some of the visualizations I have here for my Creo View Lite. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to color code the various objects within our assembly here via the lifecycle state that I'm reading from my Windchill. So whether they're currently in work or whether they're released, I'm going to color them separately depending on it. So everything that's in work is going to be signed green for go. Everything at release is going to be signed red. So if I apply that and then I just simply turn on my color codes from here, we can see, like I was saying, everything that is currently released is showing red, so only that brake assembly is currently released, and everything else is showing green, making it in work. So now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to take a deeper look into this anti-lock braking system. So I'm going to essentially go into that assembly, that structure for this in and of itself without worrying about the tires. And then I'm going to add a new component directly into a subassembly of our brake. So first, I'm just going to expand out all of our levels. So I'm viewing all the information that I need to, and I'm going to go down to our brake disk. And under our uses tab, this is going to give me the quantity for all of the information that we're actually looking for under this simple brake assembly. And if I wanted to add in a new component completely directly to this subassembly, all I need to do is I'm going to type in a label, and this already exists within our Windchill system, so it's going to automatically find that label and anything else to be attached to that. But if I wanted to create a new WT part, a new empty WT part everywhere, I would just need to type that in and simply hit plus, and that's going to generate that new WT part. But this is something that already exists within our system, so it's going to bring it in along with its current version and its current end item state. And of course, in order to do that, I had to check this object out on the fly. And if we go to our label and we expand that, we can see that all the WT parts that are rolling up to that original label has come along with it as I brought that into our assembly. Okay. So in order to do that, like I was saying before, I had to check that out on the fly. So now I just simply need to check that information back in. So I'm just going to click our check in from here and add a note for our good bookkeeping. So to work within our system, it's very easy to bring those objects out through checkout and then make any sort of changes you need. And when I check this object back in, the version number, that 8.11, is automatically going to iterate to whatever our current drift is. So no matter how many times you revise and where to go into it, you're going to maintain that very strong revision and state control. And it's never going to be a game of whoever saves last is going to be the one that actually defines that single source of truth that you have ultimately within your system. And coming here, so we also have the ability to export our bill of material that we have here. We can export them as various file formats, whether that be CSV, HTML, XLS. So you can export those, work towards those, whatever system you go into. And if you wanted to, you can export those as a re-importable spreadsheet. So you can export them into Excel or whatever you're actually working for, and then bring that spreadsheet back in. So just an example, I'll export this as an XLS. And then we can simply open here, and the columns that we have in our current bill of material from here is going to be what's going to generate the columns within our Excel. So if we were to change the columns within that bill that we were looking at before, those would be the column that we have within our exporter from this point. And the last thing I'm going to take a closer look at is the comparison that we have directly between different versions of an object. So if I come up here and I select our anti-lock braking system WT part and I come to compare, I can compare the part structures basically board to board. So from here, I'm going to select a baseline version of the object that we have in existence. So currently, I'm just going to select our baseline A2 version, and I'm going to pair that directly to the version that we've been looking at, or brake assembly version that we've been looking at previously. So now that I've selected that, I'm just going to hit OK. And we're going to bring in those two bill of informations directly adjacent to each other. So as we look up at the top, we can see our bill of information being compared to each other. Everything that's highlighted in blue represents a difference between the two. And if we come down to this lower level, we can view them visually comparing to each other via visualization to visualization. And as we can see through our visualization, our current version is, our baseline version is missing the brake rotor that we have for our current version. And if we come to the central column here, this is where we can get a closer look at the actual differences that exist between them. So this denotes a child difference, which means there is a part within our hierarchy that represents a difference between those two. So we're just going to expand deeper to see what that actual difference is. And as we keep going down forward, we can see each of these items are blue, so they're ultimately very different versions between each other. And this one denotes there's no equivalent object between the two. And that ultimately makes sense because we are missing the outer brake rotor that we're looking at before. And that simply denotes that that doesn't exist between the two. So one has something that the other ultimately doesn't. And this is a very valuable tool to kind of visually understand and kind of textually understand what the actual difference has been between the current baseline version that you're working for all the way up to whatever the latest version that you're currently looking at. Okay, but that is our Windchill bill of material structure and visual reporting tools that I had for demonstration for today. It is ultimately a very important tool for making towards a bill of information and getting towards that product lifecycle mindset within your ultimate industry. So understanding what's been done, understanding why it's been done, and understanding all the components that are going into it, and understanding where those changes are ultimately going to matter the most. So without further ado, I will pass it back over to Cassie to pass it over to.
Yeah, I'll take over. Thanks so much, Anthony. I'm just going to pass things over to Bill and make him presenter so he can show us a little bit about our EAC productivity app called BoM Reports.
All right, so you can see my screen okay, Cass?
Yep, we've got you.
All right. So thanks everybody for attending. I am the aforementioned Bill Schlund. I'll be going through just the BoM Reports app. As you notice, EAC has a number of different apps, all specifically bringing in or allowing you to do different things. Let's look at the BoM Reports because this ties in really well with what we were just talking about. So the app is real straightforward. The idea is to give people kind of a customized view of what they're looking for. So I start to type in a product, and then we'll type in a particular part number or name or partial. I don't need to use wildcards. And it comes back looking through Windchill and brings back the information that is here. I'm just going to pick on, I have a choice of a couple different things here. I'm going to just double click on this. What it does is give me a bill of material report of this particular assembly. We can see this all here. Lots of different columns. This is all customizable. One of the unique things that EAC does is they use a lot of what we call mashups, but bringing in different information on the same screen at the same time. So here we're bringing in some information from Windchill. We can see the listing of the parts down below. There's different ways of displaying this information, sort of like what we saw with the color-coded search, where it can give you a real good idea of how things are in a particular assembly visually. This is what this is doing from the standpoint of a pie chart. Here I'm showing the different states, so things that are in blue are in work, released things are green, and canceled are in red. We also have a pull down over here, so I could say let's kind of search by name. We can see the different name structures here. I could search by also by who modified things, like who's been working on those. This again is a customizable list. To tie in also with this concept of a mashup, you'll notice that we have some information over here to the right that has to do with costing. And we really know that Windchill isn't necessarily a costing system. What we're representing here, what we are doing really is we put some attributes in the Windchill parts of cost, and we're just displaying those and totaling those up. But what this is meant to represent is that this could just as very easily have been pulling information in from an ERP system or some third-party system that has that type of information. That's the whole idea of a mashup, is to pulling different information from other locations and present them to the user in one screen, just to make things a lot easier. I'm going to pop back to our main menu here for our apps, because I wanted to show you one thing. I didn't touch on it right when we were looking at those, but since I logged in as an administrator, I see this little icon up here in the corner, and all this means is that I can kind of tailor this particular application to the person that would be looking at it. So when I log in to these apps, I'm also logging into Windchill. I've been in Windchill the whole time. We're just interfacing with it in a different way. But if I want to kind of customize this a little bit on a particular person's role and what they would see when they log in, you know, here are the different types of groups that we have in our Windchill system. So I could say, you know, just for purchasing, you know, I might turn off a bunch of things. They're only interested in maybe seeing cost or availability or something like that. Over here, we can see different listings of, this would be the grid or the columns that we saw before. So which things do we want in the columns? Here's our available ones in Windchill. Here are the ones that we're showing, and we can just move those over to display those. In the pie chart that we're looking at before, I can go over here, and as we saw, we only had a choice of 3 things, right? State, name, and then who modified things. But I could say, well, also I'm interested in maybe seeing cost in terms of the pie chart, and then maybe quantity as well. So I can say I'm finished with this, and I can just save this. So now as an administrator, or I could have applied this to any of these other guys, when they log in, they would be able to see this new things that I've added here. So you can see there's a very easy way of kind of tailoring the display of what you're looking at in a particular, in this case, a bill of materials. So I'm going to go back, look at the exact same BoM that we're looking at before, but we're going to see that we have the availability now. The only thing I changed here in this case was things that we can display in the pie chart. But again, it's really easy for me as an administrator to make changes on the fly real quickly, to allow people to see really just the information that's important to them, because Windchill has a lot of information in it. But for the casual user, sometimes they just don't be overwhelmed by the user interface, by the amount of information that's there. They just want to get a particular amount of information. But here, we can see here, now we have cost, so we can see parts divided up by cost. One of the interesting things with this as well, I mentioned this kind of at the very beginning, is that we're in Windchill all the time, right? We're pulling information out of Windchill. If I wanted to see a particular part, I can just double click on it. And this brings me into Windchill, this brings me into the information page for that part, and now I have full access to all the resources of Windchill to work with this particular part. And again, we're working with a WT part like we were earlier today. But again, if I wanted to see where it was used or what related components I have to this, I can see that all right here. From the EAC app, everything is just a double click away to jump into Windchill. So the whole idea, again, is to allow people to deliver the information that's pertinent to their particular role and filter out the things that aren't, so they can make quick decisions based on the information that we have in our PDM link system, or as I talked about before, maybe some other system as well. So with that, that's kind of my overview of the one app that we're going to cover here today. And I'll turn it back to Cassie so that she can finish up with some comments.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. So I don't see any questions right now, but I do want to thank you, Anthony and Bill, for that presentation. I also want to mention that right now we have a 10% off on all PLM packages through September. So if you're looking to improve your PLM process, or you want us to demo the BoM Reports app to your team, reach out to us and we will make it happen. I'll also send you the link that you need to find this information. on the discount and our EAC apps and the follow-up email I'll be sending out. So you can find our upcoming webinars on eacpds.com/events, or if you'd like to see any previous webinars to date, you can go out to our webinar replay library to watch them. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.